Today we're in Welford in Northamptonshire, and we're here to take a look at the Talbot and Granary, which is an old coaching inn that dates back to the 1600s. We're here to meet Harry Greaves of Renovation Homes, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the history and what he's got planned for this development. Follow me. So Harry, clearly an amazing building, but take us back to the start, give us a bit of the history.
The old Talbot, as it's now known, was first listed as a coaching inn in the year 1600, so it's 400 plus years old. The original building would have served as a halfway house between the docks at Liverpool and London. So lots of freight and carriages and stuff would have come down by horse and cart, would have come through Welford.
And you've got the wharf and the canal there?
You've got the wharf and the canal, which would have been used sort of in the early 1900s, but before that it would have all been done by horse and cart. And they would have stopped here. The old Talbot was known for its stabling, so actually behind us, the barns behind us, were the stables for the old Talbot. So it was listed and advertised as having stabling for 100 horses. There'd have been an extensive sort of hotel as we now would know it.
And people from all ends of the country stopping here, as you say, halfway house.
Absolutely. As it stands today, it's only roughly about half the size that it would have been back then. In the year 1600, it started off as a relatively small coaching inn, and we can still see some of the old remnants of that as we walk around. But then as new landlords took over, it got extended and extended and extended. So until such a time where actually the entirety of the plot, the full width, would have been
so right the way back to this far wall.
So right the way back to the far wall, and we can probably see if we want to walk down. You can still see the extent of the old building. So you can see here where the stone goes to brickwork. This would have probably been the edge of the old building. And we'd have had. You can see here where you've got windows cut in. Again, another window there, and then one behind the fencing there. So this would have actually formed the old property.
And what part of that original property, like what would this front room have been?
Well, we're actually unsure as to that, to be honest. And
it's not been like that for so long.
And there's not actually any floor plans from back then. What we do know is that this, just behind these grey fencing, you can see they're called old gate pintles. So from that we can probably tell that there would have been an archway through here, and you'd have actually brought your horse and cart through under the archway
to those stables
and down to the stables. So this would have definitely been the entranceway. So obviously we're going to be converting this again back to the roadway, the driveway, effectively. So that would have been as is, or as was back then. It would have been a huge property.
Almost double in size.
Almost double in size, and we've fortunately got permission to go up and put back some of what was once there. And as you'll see as we go around, what that means from a historic point of view.
And try to retain as much of that as possible.
Exactly. So do you want to have a wander inside?
We'll head in.
So now we're inside what is going to be a kitchen when we convert it. It also used to be the actual cook's kitchen for the coaching inn. So we can tell that a number of ways.
We've got these on the ceiling.
We've got meat hooks on the ceiling, which would have been for drying and curing meat back in the day. The other thing that we can tell that it was the original kitchen is actually by this huge beam on the wall here. So we've got some old photographs that show the property, not only, as I say, going out which way is that way, but actually there was a portion of the building that went further this way.
That would have been an internal archway through to the back of that.
This would have actually been a fireplace. So we can tell this because the back of this beam is actually chamfered up as if it was going up into a chimney. So what we probably would have had here is a big four-sided fireplace, the kind that you'd see on like Downton Abbey and places like that, where you'd have numerous cooks all using the open fire to cook the meals for the people staying in the inn.
Amazing. And I suppose with how big it was at that time, it would need to be a good old kitchen with a lot of staff working around it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if stabling for 100 horses, you're likely to have 2 or 3 people at least to each of those carriages. So yeah, there could have been a good couple of hundred people in here and
amazing,
all wanting to have their dinner after a long day on the road.
So yeah, working round the clock, I imagine, then in this kitchen.
Absolutely. This is the actual original old doorway. So this would have been
lovely.
Probably from around the 1700s, because we can tell by the age of the wood and sort of the decorative nature of it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been totally original, but probably from around the 1700s, they'd have used this as the main entranceway into the inn.
Okay.
So you'd have drawn your carriage down. You'd have given that to the stable hands, and they'd be sorting your horses out and changing them over and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You'd then come down and through into the inn this way. There would have probably been some what you'd now know as like reception staff in a hotel. This would have been sort of a doorman or something of the sort that would come in, would take your money for staying.
Yeah.
And then you'd have actually probably, because this would have been the kitchens, there wouldn't necessarily have been an entranceway through here. You'd actually
go through into the main receptions and
through into the main sort of lounge area through this doorway here.
So this doorway as old as that there?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Possibly even older, because it may well have just been.
Could have been an open.
Yeah. This actually could well have been an original external wall.
Okay.
And just by the stonework and the nature of it, this could have been where you entered the original part of the inn in the 1600s. But yeah, certainly from around 1700 onwards, it would have been in here, pay your money, and then through into the lounge.
So interesting.
Which we'll see now, yeah.
Okay.
The stairway definitely is original, and in fact that is specifically listed on the Grade 2 listing of the property, so the staircase is going to be fully restored. This portion is actually the youngest, because what they used to do is the original part of the staircase, when they renewed it, they'd have moved it up a floor and then up a floor. So actually as we go up, the staircases change slightly and they get older as you go up. Yeah. So it's quite interesting.
So we're into what you said from the other side. This is one of the reception rooms, one of the lounges, hence the fireplace.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is quite a big room. This probably wouldn't have been this size back in the day. We can tell there's some marks in the timbers where there'd have probably been partitions.
Okay.
So it likely would have been several different reception rooms. But ultimately, yeah, we can tell that, from the other side, this is where the doorway would have been cut and you'd have come through as a patron of the inn. We can tell that actually, originally, this whole frontage would have been completely different. So by the timbers, we're back into the original part of the inn. So this is as old as it gets. This is 400 plus years old, this part of the building. Originally, this frontage wouldn't have been here at all, and this would have been a timber framed building in its entirety and would have had a timber frontage.
So the front would have looked totally different.
Totally different, and you can still see some of the marks in some of the timbers where that original beams would have been and would have stood. And actually, we think that when this was changed was probably around 1772, when John Spencer of the famous Spencer family, Princess Diana, they took over the inn, and John Spencer, and I think it was his niece, but I might have got that wrong.
Okay.
They ran the inn together.
I won't hold you to it.
No, don't hold me to that bit. They extensively renovated and extended the inn. They actually added the third story as well, which we'll see as we go up. Changed a lot of the ceiling heights, and you can tell there's some different ceiling heights going on. Yeah. And this whole frontage would have been added as an addition. Okay. And the idea was create these big windows, more fitting of the time, and it sort of showed their wealth. And
would have needed money to have had that kind of extensive work.
Exactly.
Changes.
So yeah, it just showed sort of the extent of the inn, and actually there's some good newspaper articles that we've got actually advertising the new rooms in the inn.
Wow.
And when John Spencer took over, he actually advertised that in the local paper.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting find.
Great for us now, bringing this to the market.
Absolutely.
And being able to show those.
Funnily enough, he's not the only famous face that would have frequented this place. So we've also got some history with the novelist Charles Dickens.
Amazing. Wow.
So the book he wrote, or the novel he wrote, Bleak House, actually mentions him staying in the old Talbot in Northamptonshire, and he specifically references this fireplace.
Okay.
So, you know, it's really interesting to know that Charles Dickens would have sat in this room
and looked at that as we're looking at it now.
Possibly writing in his book, looking at the fireplace.
Yeah.
Really interesting feature.
Fantastic. And on features, what's this?
Yes.
Corner?
Yes. Good spot. Yeah. So that we believe to be an old priest hole.
Okay.
Don't know if you know priest holes.
Pass. Yeah. Explain, please do.
So, effectively, in the Reformation times, back in Henry VIII's reign, when being a Catholic was illegal, owners of big houses and big inns that were from a Catholic family or had a Catholic background would have installed sort of hiding places in their properties.
Hiding hole, right.
For priests and other people, you know, of Catholic significance that would effectively escape from wherever it was they were in their in the village when Henry VIII's men came to search for them. Yeah. And they would have been harboured here by the family of the inn at the time. That one in particular we're yet to uncover, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
We think, and there's local rumour has it that priest hole actually goes down into the basements, of which there's extensive basements here, and from there supposedly it actually goes out through a tunnel underground to one of the small outbuildings that's still out on the site now.
Yeah. Well, if you can uncover that
would be fantastic.
Scary.
And apparently the priest would have come down and would have gone into the tunnel and then out across the fields and hopefully away to safety.
Yeah. Earlier on you were saying about keeping as many of these characteristics and features as possible. That's going to stay?
Absolutely.
In one of the plots?
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to make a feature of that, as with the fireplace. It'd be
rude not to.
Be crazy to cover these things up, because it's all part of the amazing 400 plus year history of this place. Have a wander upstairs.
Up one of those original staircases.
Absolutely, yeah.
Given its age, it's actually in really good condition, isn't it?
It's not bad at all.
Think about the hundreds of people thousands of people that have walked up those stairs over the years.
Definitely needs some restoring, but yeah, it's a good base.
So we're raising up another.
We're raising up a level, so you'll find that happens quite a lot in this building, and that's sort of testament to over the years how much it's actually changed.
Yeah.
This probably wasn't original floor height. Why it's like this, who knows? This is just a feature of a building that's changed so much over the years. So this is going to be a master bedroom.
Yeah. With as high a ceiling as we have.
Lovely high ceiling. Yeah. This is going to be a really special room.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and when this was a coaching inn, this was probably in, if anything, more special room. As we talked about, the extent of the building would have gone much further out past the blockwork wall here.
Yeah.
This would have probably been some form of like function room.
Okay.
So it might have been where there was parties or particular events or something that the coaching inn was actually hosting.
Yeah. Up above the kitchen.
Up above the kitchens, it would have unlikely have been actual rooms.
Yeah.
We've got some local history that shows there was a big grand reception room on the first floor.
Yeah.
So more than likely this would have been it, and it would have extended right to the boundary.
And obviously this is new brick, but when we're in the kitchen, you mentioned that I thought was an archway, said that was old fireplace, so there would have been a chimney coming up here.
Absolutely.
So probably no windows on this side unless features either side of it maybe.
Probably no windows. I think what we can see on the original photos, and they are very old photos, so they're fairly grainy and it's difficult to work out exactly. We can clearly see the big chimney coming up on this wall here. What we think is that actually this, like I say, because it would have been a four-sided chimney, there would have been rooms sort of extending further out, and there probably would have been windows on the gable end of what would have been here originally.
So one thing I can't help but notice is the shape of there being another end of a roof on that side.
Yeah, so this was in the 1950s. Unfortunately, like a lot of old buildings and manor houses and big buildings, big historic buildings, it got partially demolished. Fortunately, not fully demolished as a lot did. But this would have been partially demolished, which was when we would have lost the extent of the width of the building. This story was also lost. So what we ended up with was effectively like a dormer room in here. So when we bought the property, that was actually the roof line.
Right. So that's only recently been taken away.
We've recently taken that away and actually restored the full height to what it used to be.
Amazing. Yeah, that's great.
And again, you can tell that. Interesting looking at this wall. Unfortunately, there's some timber partially blocking it, but I don't know if you can see the fireplace.
Oh wow, yeah.
So there would have been.
You can see the full surround.
Yeah. So there's a full fireplace up there, which would have been another room effectively on the third story.
It's probably one of the highest fireplaces in the village, in the area.
Absolutely. Again, really interesting feature. As you'll see as we go through, because obviously all the ceilings are currently down, so you can see into the roof eaves. There's some huge height up there, so there's potential to go even further with this development.
And you said it was the Spencer family that went up on that third floor first?
Yes. So the Spencer family, it's quite well documented that they increased it to a 3-story building. So
Okay, where next?
Come through. So come through into what would likely have been one of the coaching in rooms. This is going to be restored into a bedroom and a bathroom. We've uncovered a lot of the original old brickwork, and you can see again a testament to the amount that this building's changed. Huge variation in stonework, brickwork. It's just a real mismatch, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to note that this is a real historic building and is of real historic significance, but actually it's not. It was never designed as a manor house or a posh building of sorts. This was a commercial building, so it will have been designed and built to a budget, and it will have been built very rustically and sort of just to serve a purpose. So that's why you can see, if the stone fits, it will be in the wall.
So we've got two, almost like it's like a small mezzanine or something up there, isn't it? Is there a history behind this part of the room being much more vaulted than what that is? There's a little door I can see. So in that corner. The
honest answer is we don't know that. Probably because the age of that door and the doorway, and certainly the timber lintel, there's definitely some age to that. How that would have worked and would have formed probably would have just been some form of storage, and certainly as it moves into its new usage, that will be what we use it for. So most of this room, most of the bedroom will be vaulted to show these lovely beams.
Amazing.
But that will be
so that'll be closed off.
Be closed off as,
back
as
to being a
storage for the third story.
Nice.
So moving through into another one of the bedrooms. Huge, lovely old stonework here.
Nice.
Again, obviously this is going to be totally restored and on show, and as a real feature of this lovely bedroom.
And not just the fireplace, but brickwork as well, stonework?
The stonework to the side, absolutely. So this is sort of original pointing, which would likely have just been sort of a mud mixture of horsehair and maybe possibly a bit of lime in there. I think what we're going to do, just because of the stability of this mortar itself, we will actually repoint this with a traditional lime mortar. So this will really make the stonework pop, and it will really be a feature of this room.
What a feature.
So if we go through down the hallway, we walk past what will be actually the entrance onto this floor in plot 2. So this will be
the partition between the two plots.
Partition between the two, and about here, and there'll be an addition of a huge structural glazing glass box structure.
Oh wow, that sounds exciting.
That will take the new staircase going up.
Lovely.
So and there's some lovely brickwork archways here that we're going to expose because they've been covered in. Don't know if you can see. No, I don't think you can't quite see the corner of it, but there's some lovely archways here that we're going to expose, make them features, and this will be a really lovely entrance into this floor from plot 2.
Yeah.
So moving through, again, just more rooms of the inn, effectively. We've knocked out an old fireplace there, so that again, like I say, most of the rooms would have had their own fireplace.
Yeah.
Certainly all the living rooms, the accommodation rooms. This we will just make into another bedroom as with the next room.
Lovely. And then obviously not quite seen yet, probably see more so when we go outside, but the view beyond the property, amazing. So
beautiful views.
Amazing window from a bedroom, any of them on the back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's beautiful views. There's actually an old abbey. So part of the what was the old stables is now a housing development, and it's called Abbey View.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because there's actually the ruins of an old abbey
and you can see
just,
the view
just over the hill. Yeah. So yeah, on a nice bright day like it is today, on the third story, you can probably just about see that, which is lovely. So
another bedroom.
Moving through into another bedroom.
Looks like a younger fireplace.
So as we sort of move out from the middle, this is where it kind of the build gets a bit younger. So what we think is the sort of the core in the middle would have been the original right from the year 1600. As we then get out, it kind of gets a bit younger and additions get made, and so more sort of Victorian style fireplace here. You'll also see through into a very interesting looking room. This will actually be blocked off in
so this room will be
so this will just be a finished bedroom, but we'll go through here so that we can just see the extent of this room. Because this actually...
So we're now above the far side from where we started.
We're now above the far side. So this is actually, hence the name of our development, Talbot and Granary. This would have actually been the first floor of what would be an old granary. So this would have been an add-on to the original building. There's some really interesting features which we can see if we go down onto the below here. That we can show sort of, we believe it would have been a granary. This will actually be a self-contained annex when we finish the development. So really, really good space for growing up kids or
somebody with elderly relatives
or nanny or even Airbnb. Who knows, you know. But yeah, this will be a really lovely space and will be accessed externally, which we can see again when we go through.
Not keeping these designs on the walls then?
I think that, I mean, unless the new owner likes it, I think these might go. We've just opened up this floor joist here. So I talked about the stairs that are going to come up. So the stairs will come up and through, but then as they come through, we'll actually then have an internal staircase coming up to service the third floor.
Off a landing area that we're stood in.
Off a landing area, but then what you'll have is like a real galleried landing going up.
Wow.
So that'll be all open. So you'll be able to, there'll be loads of light coming through here, and it'll, again, another nice feature. More modern feature, but
it's hard to believe that we're on the middle floor here.
There's still more to go.
You can see right up to the top through those joists.
Absolutely. And like I say, there's even potential to go even further in this build, really, with the height of the ceilings. But show you.
Okay.
As we come through upstairs, so obviously this would have all been partitioned up, would have all just been rooms of the inn.
Probably 3 or 4 maybe.
Possibly, I mean, there's 4 windows, chances are. It may well have been, 4 separate rooms. Quite how the layout was at one point, we don't know. What we do know, because we saw it from the other side, the fireplace going through.
Of course, so that's the other side of that.
That's the other side of that. So we do know that there would have been some form of doorway somewhere through this brickwork maybe, or we think actually the brickwork might have been another fireplace that was cut in at some point to service one of the new rooms that was made. So really interesting transition between stone and brick there. And that would have literally just been chopped in as and when extensions were made.
And they needed to then service
new rooms. As it currently happens, this will be 2 rooms. So this is obviously plot 1 and plot 2, and where we partition is roughly here.
Yep.
So plot 2, this obviously we saw plot 1's master bedroom, which will be the big with the full height ceilings that used to be the old function room.
Yeah.
Plot 2's master will be this one here, and it's going to be huge, lovely room. And then we've actually got on the back of the building, can't go in there at the minute because the floor's a little bit unsafe and we've got to sort that out. But that's going to be a lovely ensuite bathroom.
To service this pretty big
huge bedroom and dressing room.
Yeah.
And we're certainly going to unfrost that window because that is probably one of the best views in the whole,
high up as you can be.
In the whole property. It's high up and it points right across the field, so it's going to be a lovely place to sit and have a bath.
Yeah. So this doorway here from the kitchen, obviously leading down a floor, so into the basements. Where does that lead to? Yeah,
so there's extensive basements going through.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally just like storage rooms, and they will probably just remain real nice, good storage for new owners.
Yeah.
But we'll shoot through there, and what you will see is the other end of the granary. That will be like the cinema room, which we saw the access to from the main lounge.
Yeah.
So
let's go
and have a look. Just watch your step as you come down.
Okay. So the granary.
So this slightly cluttered room at the minute, we're pretty certain would have been an old granary.
Yeah.
So possibly, we're not 100% sure, there would have been stores above us. So this was obviously the original floor as we mentioned when we were above.
Okay.
You've got an external doorway which has been blocked up, and you can tell where the old staircase was along that wall there. That's what we're going to open up, and that will be part of the entranceway for the self-contained annex.
Nice.
So that will be very separate to this room. There's signs of an old oven there. Yeah. So that this would have been where sort of a staff-only kind of area. They'd have come, they'd have baked bread, they'd have possibly brewed their own beer, they'd have made broths and soups and that sort of stuff. That would have been done down here. The main cook's kitchen would have been for like, your cooking of your meats and your finishing of food.
But hence the access through the basement.
The access through the basement.
Right the way through to the other side.
This would have been very much staff only. Not 100% sure if these doors are exactly original. There would have been probably some bigger doors for access. There certainly would have been a door of some description here. And one of the main key features that we're pretty certain that this was a granary and this was used to store foodstuffs and grains is this here.
Okay.
Which, believe it or not, is actually a dog kennel.
Right.
So this is where the inn would have had maybe several, but certainly one small terrier-like dog that would have been a ratting dog.
Okay.
So this would have been a little dog whose sole job
protect the grain
and the food and the bread from rats and mice and other rodents.
Yeah.
So
that was his little den.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So what this will become will be a courtyard garden, effectively.
Yeah.
So part of the main house, and you'll be able to access it from the main garden for plot 2. But this will be a separate, nice little herb garden or something like that, which possibly would have been akin to what it was used for previously. So yeah.
Okay, amazing. Well, Harry, thank you so much for showing us around today.
No problem.
The history is phenomenal. I can't wait to see it as you renovate both of the plots, unleash potentially more history,
Absolutely, yes.
and see it on that journey to becoming 2 new homes.
Cool. Thanks very much.
So that was our first look at the Talbot and Granary in Welford. As I'm sure you can see, they are going to become 2 amazing plots built out of this old coaching inn. Please do just watch out for more episodes to learn more as we get closer to the completion.